Anorexia nervosa is an eating disorder that causes people to obsess about their weight and the food they eat. People with anorexia nervosa attempt to maintain a weight that's far below normal for their age and height. To prevent weight gain or to continue losing weight, people with anorexia nervosa may starve themselves or exercise excessively. Anorexia nervosa isn't really about food. It's an unhealthy way to try to cope with emotional problems. When one has anorexia nervosa, one often equates thinness with self-worth. Anorexia nervosa is difficult to overcome, but with treatment one can gain a better sense of who they are, return to healthier eating habits, and reverse some of anorexia's serious complications.
There are a number of reasons why anorexia nervosa occurs in a person. Sometimes it can be due to the surrounding environment. For example, many social activities, for example certain sports or other physical activities, often pressure a person into wanting to get into better shape. This will sometimes result in the person becoming anorexic. Other environmental effects may be that of controlling parents. Sometimes a parent will get the idea in the head of a child that they must be a certain weight. This necessity leads to obsession, leads to anorexia nervosa. In fact, anorexia can even be considered a family disorder at points. Girls with anorexic siblings are 10 to 20 times more likely to develop anorexia, and if one identical twin has anorexia nervosa, the odds are very high that the other will. Stress often plays a very large role in becoming anorexic. Often patients of anorexia nervosa are perfectionists and overachievers whose weight is a very large concern to them. A common sign of anorexia in a person is that of being underweight and still feeling fat, which may stem from this personality trait. There are biological causes to anorexia as well. It is not just pressure on the patient. Victims of anorexia often have high levels of cortisol, the hormone for stress, and low levels of serotonin and norepinephrine, hormones associated with feelings of well-being. Serotonin, one of the brain's major chemicals involved in the regulation of mood, sexual desire, and food intake, is lowered when eating is stopped. There is a very large amount of signs and symptoms affiliated with anorexia nervosa. Many of these are psychological and almost become habit for the patient. Examples of this are being underweight but the patient still feeling fat, as well as becoming very critical of appearance in general. Along with this comes a relentlessness to be thin and the patient repeatedly weighing him or herself. The patient may also become very obsessed with nutrition facts and develop rituals related to eating, such as cutting food a specific style, playing with it a certain way, or proportioning food very carefully. Anorexia also has a negative effect on memory and thinking. Depression and mood swings can also be a result of anorexia nervosa. With mental issues, there are also many physical effects associated with anorexia nervosa. This includes an insane loss of weight, often up to 85% below the ideal body weight for a healthier person. Skin dries and yellows, teeth decay, and hair and nails become very brittle. Very fine hairs can sometimes grow all over the body. Bones will thin and osteoporosis can develop. The energy is sucked out of a person, which can lead to feeling cold all the time and the development of full-blown lethargy. Often severe constipation and bloating stem from the lack of nutrition anorexia nervosa causes. In women, menstruation can become more irregular or stop completely. Getting treatment for anorexia is often a very difficult choice to make. Anorexia is very similar to an addiction in that the patient often seems to view the disorder as something that is helping them. In seeking help for anorexia, the first step is that the patient must admit that they are having a problem. This may prove difficult, for anorexia may have appeared a friend or a talent until that time. After that, talking to someone is the next step. Anorexia is definitely not something that can be taken on alone, and reaching out to help is essential for getting better. Like any mental disorder, professional help is the best way to go about the treatment. There are several forms of treatment that are recommended for the treatment of anorexia. One is therapy. There are many therapists who are trained to focus on emotions and goals affiliated with anorexia nervosa, who are there for the patients. The most common form of therapy is known as cognitive behavioral therapy, which includes education on nutrition, tips for weight management, and techniques for relaxation. Another method of treatment is known as nutritional counseling. It is important for a person to know what is best for their body, especially in the case of recovering anorexic. Dietitians and nutritionists exist for this reason to help anyone who wants it. Family therapy is another form of anorexia treatment. However, this does not work for everyone. Often family therapy requires hard work and 100% dedication, as well as firm stances on the treatment. However, family therapy is an excellent way of making the patient feel at home and not alone. Along with assistance from loved ones, there are also support groups designed for patients. Sometimes the biggest help for a recovering anorexic is just to find someone that they can sympathize with, someone who knows what they are going through. While it is impossible to overcome anorexia alone, self-help is essential to recovery. Recovery for anorexia nervosa requires much dedication by the patient. They must keep up treatment regimens, develop new habits, let go of something that was once a very large part of their life, and most importantly, love themselves. One of the biggest reasons anorexia occurs is that a person is insecure about their body image. So possibly the most important thing to do is for the patient to accept his or herself for who he or she is, and love themselves for it. Unfortunately, anorexic patients often resist treatment or deny that they suffer from a disease at all. Even in the case of those who accept treatment, only about half of anorexics recover enough that they maintain a healthy body weight. Treatment can prove very expensive and insurance rarely covers the full cost. Anorexia is a dangerous and even deadly disorder that should not be taken lightly.
With emotions and feelings, Urban Outfitter yanks a girl's shirt from shelves everywhere and online, one that had the word depression written all over it. An uproar follows, and now we're asking an expert to weigh in. Jennifer McFarland is the Department Chair of Advertising and Marketing for Northwood University. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's going too far?
Well, you know, Urban Outfitters has always prided themselves on being that edgy retailer, and they've used that edginess to be relevant, and here we are talking about them today.
The debate is whether edginess is tastelessness.
Well, I think you can definitely see in terms of advocates for mental wellness that the concern, you know, these are young, impressionable teenagers, and are we sending out the wrong message, glamorizing a very sensitive, delicate issue?
And you see the one from a few years ago, Eat Less, and a lot of people said, listen, with the problems with anorexia and the like, again, thought that, is it sending the wrong message? Of course, a lot of it's what you're reading into the message, and Urban Outfitter yanked them from the shelf, so it seems to be some admission we did go too far. Your take?
Well, I actually think this is the great story. The part of the story is the consumer and the power of the people. Mm-hmm. So every time we as consumers go to the checkout line, we are actually casting a vote for our favorite brands, message, or products. And I think what is great about this story is 5,000 people took to the blogosphere, blogging and petitioning online at change.org, and Urban Outfitters responded via Twitter and said, hey, we heard you, we will take this off the shelves, and we're listening. And so I think that's a great
and you're the marketing expert. A sentence or less, the message for other retailers out of this?
I think the other retailers are looking to be heard themselves and to be different. And so I'm afraid for consumers, this is just the beginning of some more that might be coming down the line.
But retailers beware. There's a line at which consumers say enough.
Absolutely enough.